Taking a pilgrimage.
This bus was used as a vehicle to bring about more equality in the schools in Charlotte back in the late 60s, early 70s, growing out of Judge McMillan's decision that bus transportation, which had been used traditionally in the schools in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and throughout the South, could be used to desegregate schools just as buses had been used to segregate schools. Actually, Judge McMillan ruled that all of the tools that had been used to keep schools segregated should be used to desegregate the schools. But somehow the word busing became anathema in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, and other places simply because there was strong resistance for white parents to have their children riding on a bus to bring about equality in the schools. So this bus was one of those buses. There's nothing unusual about the bus. It's the same bus the children ride every day right now, and the same bus the children had ridden every day up to the time that Judge McMillan's decision was to be implemented. You had various reactions in the community. Some reacted strongly and negatively towards it. Those who reacted negatively were those who were rooted in the past and wanted to stay in the past, and who were unwilling to have any vision or to make any sacrifice to give all children an equal education. But there was also a segment in the community that was committed to providing an equal education to all children, and they recognized that in order to do that, there were going to have to be changes made, and those ways of life that had been used to maintain this segregated system would have to change. It was a divisive issue throughout. It did go to the United States Supreme Court, but the United Supreme Court was together in its decision that transportation could be used as a tool to desegregate, just as transportation had been used as a tool to segregate the schools. So ultimately, that view won out, and over time, Charlotte Mecklenburg actually became the premier school system in the country that was using transportation as a means of getting beyond the past, providing an equal education for all students. We have to keep in mind that Judge McMillan's decision didn't come about in a vacuum. Judge McMillan's decision came about as a result of other measures that were being used to desegregate the schools being unsuccessful. And Judge McMillan himself had ordered various measures to desegregate the schools short of using transportation, but at a point it became clear that more had to be done if we were indeed going to provide the equal educational opportunity for all students that the courts, the Supreme Court, the courts had ordered, dating back from Brown versus Education in Brown versus Board of Education back in 1954. So this decision was actually an outgrowth rather than a determinant of race relations in the city. And those race relations in Charlotte, Mecklenburg had been dubious and varied. At times, the racial divide could be met and crossed, but other times it couldn't. But when we came to something as deeply entrenched in the American way as the school system, it was difficult to get people to change. It was difficult to get people in the white community to change and understand that if we were going to cross this racial divide, it required some sacrifice on both sides. There would be some sacrifices on the African American community. There would have to be sacrifices on the part of the white community. The African American community willingly made sacrifices because they had been more deprived of the equal educational opportunities everyone should have had than the white community. So it took time, it took effort, and it took a willingness to change before we could get to that point where it was accepted that strong measures had to be taken if we indeed were going to realize the promise of the Brown decision.